For weeks, it felt like every injury update brought more frustration than hope. One player out, another limited, another forced to sit. But this weekend feels different. For the first time in a while, the Bears are trending up, not down, and that matters more than people realize. The biggest news centers around a crucial offensive piece who has been battling through a lingering foot issue. After missing last week, the expectation inside the building is growing that he can suit up. Nothing is guaranteed, but optimism alone is a major shift from the uncertainty that surrounded this situation just days ago. This injury hasn't been minor. Foot issues for skilled players are tricky. They affect burst, balance, timing, and confidence. Even when a player is active, they're rarely close to 100%. But here's the key detail that can't be ignored. Teams do not rush players back if there's serious risk of long-term damage. If he plays, it strongly suggests the Bears believe the injury is manageable, not just for this week, but for the stretch run ahead. And that's critical, because the most important games are still coming. The division matchups. The late-season tests. Those are the moments where you need your playmakers on the field. Let's be realistic. No one expects peak form immediately. An 80 to 85% version of this player is far more likely. But even at that level, his impact changes how defenses line up. His presence alone demands attention, opens space for others, and restores balance to an offense that has struggled to find rhythm. Earlier in the season, the connection between the rookie quarterback and his young receiver flashed real promise. Timing routes, quick hitters, explosive plays, it was there. Then came the drops, the misfires, the injuries. Everything slowed down. Momentum disappeared. Getting even part of that connection back would be huge. And this moment matters because for once, Chicago enters a game feeling healthier than its opponent. That hasn't happened often this year. Usually, it's the Bears trying to survive with replacements. This time, the other sideline is the one dealing with absences. Before we go any further, if you enjoy smart, no-nonsense Chicago Bears coverage that cuts through the noise, take a quick second to support the channel. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss important updates as this season heats up. Now let's get back to the football. Beyond the offensive boost, there's more good news on the defensive side of the ball. A starting defensive back is set to return after missing multiple weeks with a hip injury. His role will be limited at first, but availability alone changes the equation. The Bears have been cautious all season with injured players. No rushing. No jumping from 0 snaps to every snap. Pitch counts have become the norm, and for good reason. That approach continues here. The defensive backfield has quietly stabilized despite injuries. Young players have stepped up. Veterans have logged heavy snaps. Trust has been built. That makes the return easier to manage because there's no desperation to overload anyone. The question now becomes usage. Where does he line up? Outside? Inside? Does he rotate? Does he take snaps from someone who's been playing well? Those are good problems to have, and Chicago hasn't had many of those this year. When healthy players return, the challenge shifts from survival to strategy. That's exactly where the Bears find themselves defensively this week. The secondary suddenly has options. Multiple outside corners. Rotational flexibility. The ability to mix and match based on matchups rather than necessity. One of the most interesting possibilities is experimentation inside. The nickel spot has been a stress point, especially against bigger slot receivers. When offenses move size inside, mismatches happen fast. That's where versatility becomes valuable. The returning defensive back has experience playing multiple roles earlier in his career. That background gives the coaching staff freedom to explore alignments that weren't possible before. Even if it's only for specific packages or key downs, that flexibility can change drives. This is especially important looking ahead to future opponents, but even this week, it matters. Offenses will test the middle of the field. They'll look for soft spots. They always do. Now let's shift to the other side, because the contrast between these two teams couldn't be clearer. The opponent arrives battered. especially up front. Multiple starters are out. Key offensive linemen are missing. Depth players are being asked to step into major roles. Continuity is gone. Chemistry is gone. And that's a dangerous situation against a defensive front desperate to make a statement. If there was ever a moment for the Bears' defensive line to show real progress, this is it. One-on-one matchups favor Chicago. There's no excuse here. Pressure must be generated. Pockets must collapse. Mistakes must be forced. This isn't about racking up stats, it's about confidence. The Bears' defensive front has shown flashes but lacked consistency. This is the opportunity to flip that narrative. Against backups. Against shuffled protections. Against an offense trying to survive, not dominate. If pressure doesn't come now, serious questions will follow. And beyond the trenches, the opponent's injury list continues to grow. Defensive starters out. Skilled players questionable. Rotational pieces missing. The depth is being tested, and not in a good way. Yes, there are talented individuals still active. Yes, effort will be there. But football is a team sport, and when half the lineup is compromised, the margin for error disappears. This is one of those games that reveals who you really are. The Bears are at home. They're healthier. The weather favors physical football. The opponent is depleted. Everything lines up. That doesn't guarantee victory, but it removes excuses. This is not about style points. No one is asking for fireworks or a blowout just for appearances. But control matters. Energy matters. Focus matters. This should not come down to a last-minute drive. If Chicago jumps out early, the game tilts fast. A compromised offensive line can't afford mistakes. A backup-heavy roster can't chase deficits. That's how games slip away. The defense sets the tone here. Stop the run. Win the line. Force uncomfortable situations. Make the quarterback uncomfortable from the opening series. Offensively, patience is key. No need to force explosive plays. Protect the football. Lean into favorable matchups. If the returning receiver plays, use him smartly, not recklessly. Get through the game healthy. Get the win. Move forward with momentum. Because what's coming next matters even more. The schedule tightens. The stakes rise. Divisional positioning looms. Confidence built here carries over. This is the kind of game good teams win without drama. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be professional. A double-digit win feels realistic. Not because the Bears are flawless, but because the opponent is limited. If Chicago fails here, the criticism will be justified. There's no hiding from that. But if they handle business, this becomes a turning point. Proof that health, preparation, and opportunity can still align late in the season. Now it's time to see if they take advantage.